Hey, you promoters and everything, man, and you labels and stuff. I know it's slow, but it's slow for us too. It's a panoramic. We need our money. We need it now. I don't got that kind of time because it's a panoramic. Okay?
The Sock Jig Sneaker Podcast doesn't know jack shit about cards or Pokemon. Episode 8 of the Sock Jig Sneaker Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. I am your host, Sock Jig. You can follow me on Twitter at SockJig and on Instagram as well. In this episode, I wanted to talk about a couple of main topics. One, I wanted to go over the best of the 2020 sneaker tournament that I did on my Twitter. And also wanted to talk about social media a little bit, the relentless need to succeed on social media, as I called it. I also go over a couple of recent releases, the Bred 350 and the J Balvin. I recorded these like last Friday, I think. So those releases have already occurred. So you can hear my thoughts, what I thought about the shoes before the release. Also, Sneaker Guy of the Week returns this week. But first, what's on feet and recent pickups? All right, on feet for most of this week has been the Nike Zoom Vomero 5, a cold wall, the white one, the sail version. This is the shoe that has the big block at the back that, it's very polarizing. People either love it or hate it. And the other aspect of this shoe is it had this special coating removed so that it would yellow naturally quicker because that coating prevents yellowing. So my shoes have yellowed a bit, a little bit more than any other shoe that I got in 2018 or so. But they were kind of before the trend of this whole yellow aging stuff that's going on. The other thing about this shoe is the block gets pretty dirty when you drive. You can't really prevent that. And the other terrifying thing about this shoe is actually going downstairs or escalators. If that back block thing catches the escalator or something, you're like, I don't want to, take a header all the way down. But, these days I'm not really going down escalators that much, and the stairs are really just my home stairs. But so, just be careful wearing these. They are super comfortable. That's what's awesome about the Vomeros. I know a lot of people actually cut off the big block at the back when it first came out. But then Nike actually released a version like a couple months later without the big block. So everyone who did cut off that block probably regretted it. These even showed up in the outlets like last year. So the price is pretty good on them in the smaller sizes. I think it's like $700 or so. My size is probably like 300 or so, but in between, 400 or 500. But they held up pretty good. It's a really solid shoe. I have the solarized version as well too. The one that only released on a cold wall, and those are pretty rare. I haven't busted those out yet, so I'm curious to actually open them up and see if they even yellowed in the box itself. But they're like a navy maroonish color, so it's probably hard to tell. Anyways, dope shoe. It's nice to wear a shoe from a couple of years ago because the tendency is to only wear what released this year or last year. So pickups list might be a bit long since the last time I recorded. I picked up the Nike Air More Uptempo OG, the Pippin ones. They released on footlocker.canada here. And a code worked on them, so I was able to get those for like $160 Canadian, which is pretty good. I got the Kobe 5 Bruce Lee, the black and yellow one. I got that on a raffle from a site. I might not say where I got raffles from, mostly just because I don't want to dox myself, because a lot of these pairs, they probably only have one size of these. I also got the utility black 500s. I already had a pair of those that were dead stock that I had actually forgot about. And so if I had known, I probably would have sold them before I knew this restock was happening. But I got another pair through the app raffle. I just went for my size because I assumed every reseller was going to go for size 6 or 5.5. I got 2 pairs of the Peace -1. I won a raffle for one, and I actually got the other one on sneakers through the scratcher thing, which is kind of a rare win for me because, as I've mentioned before, Nike has pretty much filtered out all of Canada. But I think if you do the scratcher, it doesn't go through the standard filtering, the Leo filtering. It goes through first in, first out kind of mode. So I was in fast enough. I went for my size. So I'm assuming the demand is probably in the smaller sizes. So that pair, one of the pairs that first sneakers pair I sold right away, and the other one came in afterwards. These shoes are alright. I think they'll probably go up over time. A white AF1 is always more wearable than say a black one. The paint cracking thing is pretty cool. Mason Margiela and others have done this kind of. Even Converse, I think, has done this kind of thing. It looks like a day old cake that you left out. It's kind of like this oily, flaky leather thing on it. Whatever the coating is, that kind of flakes away. But I'll probably keep that one and just stash it and either wear later or just sell later. I was also able to pick up the Sacai Vapor Waffle. I got the white one. I'm not a huge fan of this shoe. The back duck bill thing looks kind of odd to me. It's really wide too. It's a way bigger shoe than you think. But if you're a shorter person, these will give you pretty good height. On Twitter, I called this a Triple S tribute shoe. So I'm very curious of everyone who loves this shoe. Did you hate the Triple S? Because I don't see it being that much different than the Triple S. But for the record, I do love the Triple S. I probably would have loved this one more if it didn't have the back Oregon duckbill thing. I also picked up the Fire Red 4s. I was talking to my buddy Brendan, and he was saying these are the type of sneakers that you kind of have to buy if you're a real sneakerhead. Like most of the sneakerheads in our age kind of group will buy these. I probably won't wear these ones, but I had a feeling that if I didn't buy it, I would regret it. So I meant I wouldn't wear it right away. I'll probably wear it later. And even then, I'll probably wear it once or twice. But I'm always glad to have the Nike Air versions. If it was a Jumpman one, I'd be like, I could skip this. I'll be fine. I was also lucky enough to get the Cactus Plant Flea Market Dunk, the Swarovski crystal, whatever it is, the shiny stuff, in a size 12.5. That was the day where no one knew when they were going to release, if it was going to be first come, first serve. The clothing kind of dropped first, and then it was revealed that it's a raffle. And so, I was sitting on the couch and I got a "you've been selected" email. So I don't have these in hand yet. I have to get them reshipped to me, but I'm kind of interested to see them. I don't think I can actually pull them off, but it's a grail type shoe, I think, to at least hold. I'm excited to kind of see them and, post a flex shot for the gram, I guess. Finally, I did pick up the Union 4 Off Noirs. I only got the Guava pair off the site, so these Off Noirs I paid resale for. Shout out to my buddy who helped me out on that. I was able to help me get them at a good price. And to the buddy who helped me, when they first were announced, we said, they're nice, but I don't think I'd pay resale for them. And here we are now in our top 10 lists, and we both paid resale for them. But the game is the game, I guess. The sneaker guy of the week is the Leave Room for Profit guy. This is the guy who posts, mostly on Facebook, that he's buying out sneakers. He's got cash in hand. He's paying out huge. He needs Yeezys and Jordans. But, he's not paying StockX prices. So, don't come with the StockX page. And he's not paying StockX payout prices either, because, he needs room for profit. And so, everyone knows that you need a room for profit. But it's always that extra explicitly stating it out, that leave room for profit in your post, that always gets me. And this person is almost never worth your time to message, because they're just going to lowball you. And they're just looking for people who are desperate for money, who are, got bills to pay. And I'm assuming this works, because why else would these guys keep posting it? You also have to have kind of no shame to kind of do this kind of stuff. So it doesn't work if you have dignity. So the Leave Room for Profit guy, you are the sneaker guy of the week. I wanted to talk about a couple of the upcoming releases. First up, I want to talk about the Bred Yeezy coming out. This one has been rumored to have a ton of stock out there, obviously way more than the first time it came out. But of course, the demand is going to be just as high because this is a top three Yeezy, in my opinion. Probably the best 350. I like it more than Zebra, but, other people might have it the other way around. Wave Runner is my favorite, otherwise. And, the first time they came around, they were impossible to get. I got mine from Adidas US using as a locale jig. Shout out the locale jig. If your name is Sock Jig, you have a whole arsenal full of jigs. That is. Um, what's funny is I actually sold this used pair in mid-November because I had a heads up the stock was going to be big for this Easy release. So I sold my used pair for $450 on Goat. I kind of feel bad for the guy who's probably getting them in hand right about now, knowing that resale price of a new pair is probably $450 or so. But back to this release, what always happens with this kind of shoe is people are taking it too casually when they hear the numbers are going to be huge. They think they'll just cop with ease. They think it'll be sitting. These won't sit. It's a top three Easy. People have always wanted them, and they were, like I said, they were impossible to get the first time. So it's always harder than you think. Be prepared. I'm recording this on the Friday night before the drop, so I wouldn't be shocked if it's a nightmare like Mocha was, but I also wouldn't be shocked if it was, kind of smooth and everyone was able to get one or two. Next up, I want to talk about the J Balvin Jordan 1s. This is a very polarizing shoe too. Everyone with a Latin country flag in their bio wants it and, needs it right now. Whereas, guys named Corey or Trevor are like, what the fuck is this shit? If you listen to J Balvin, or it's not Bad Bunny, that's a different person. But if you listen to J Balvin, you know that his albums are called Colors and Vibes, so the shoe makes sense that way. And if you're Colombian or wherever, and your countryman has a shoe, you want to go out and support it. And you want to go out and buy it. If you liked albums called Colors and Vibes, then you will like the shoe called Colors and Vibes. But what I wanted to say is it's easy to hate on a shoe just because, it looks wild and out there. But you can take the extra step to kind of figure out the story of what it's trying to tell, especially when, there might be cultural significance to the shoe. For example, if there was like a Chinese New Year shoe that had, that was red and had all kinds of references to Chinese New Year and stuff, and just saying that this sucks, why are they releasing this? When it's kind of obvious why they're releasing it, because it's there to honor, the Chinese culture, Chinese buyers, Chinese fans, and the same kind of thing here. This J Balvin shoe is to honor J Balvin fans, and obviously he's gonna bring his background, his heritage to the shoe, and if that means it's colors and vibes and it's loud and obnoxious, that might be not loud and obnoxious to anyone who speaks Spanish, but is loud and obnoxious to someone in the Midwest or something. So, I've joked that it looks like a kid's shoe if you put a dinosaur on it, but those are just jokes. Like I always say, about shoes that I don't like, I'm still glad they make them. I'm glad that J Balvin was able to get a shoe. I'm glad it looks weird, and it's out there. It's got weird cuts on stuff on it, little features that I've never really seen on Jordans before. So, I'm glad that Nike and Jordan made the shoe. Early prices of these were like $1,000, and they did seem super limited. So in this early period, it's always hard to tell how many they made. In a shoe like this, it's like it's so easy to make not very many, especially when it has, like I said, weird cuts and stuff like that. That'd be hard to produce. But as of right now, prices crashed to about 600, 700, like even in the base sizes. So in terms of sneaker investing, I don't know enough about J Balvin or the production numbers to make a call. So, I usually, if it's a shoe that I'm not going to wear, I usually don't care as much at all. So, if I did enter a raffle and win this, I would probably just flip right away. But it is interesting to see what happens with the prices after the release. If the small, girl sizes or grade school sizes will pop or not. If, some TikTok girl wears them, will it pop or not? If Nico Lol wears these, will the price shoot up? I don't know. Let me just turn on post notifications on our Twitter for research purposes. Another thing I want to talk about is the relentless need to succeed on social media. Consider this a Mr. Brightside like segment. There's a lot of anxiety with social media. So, in particular, I'm talking about Twitter and Instagram here. You're often comparing and contrasting your success with peers. On Instagram, there's this desire to look curated, that your feed has to look perfect and everything has to be, in order. And there's this desire, everyone has this desire to seek validation. And, the validation is engagement and interactions and getting your follower count up. There's this desire to be right. There's, on Twitter, there's a desire to always be making the right calls, that you sold at the right time, that you bought and held at the right time. And you're always making the right calls in this game. And no one is right. There's always people who buy bricks, and you can't be right about everything. I said on a podcast a while back that the Salehe's might be $700. I was wrong, and I don't care that I was wrong. And I said back then that this is more about the process, and that's kind of what I care about, and that's kind of where the details are, and that's where the fun is. Obviously, this is different if that's your business. If you're a cook group making recommendations, then you do have to be careful. But even then, I've seen people straight up lie about this kind of stuff and flex it. But you should really ask yourself, what's the end goal here? Am I a business promoting my business? Then go ahead. Or if you're an influencer or your goal is to be an influencer, sincerely ask yourself why. Is it to seek validation from people you don't know? Or is it to get seeded stuff from, the top brands? No one gets seeded stuff straight from the top brands. You're going to get a bunch of shit from Under Armour first if you're going to get anything. And this type of thing, I'm talking about Instagram in this case, but I've noticed the same thing is happening on Twitter and sneaker Twitter with, botters having sponsorships from proxy companies and getting, access to private pools. So, if your goal is to get that kind of stuff, you have to show yourself to be, a rock star at this. And the only way to do that is to kind of flex your checkouts, hit your slots and stuff like that. Show that you are worthy of that. And even that, it's like, do you really want to put yourself out there? Are you ready to be an online personality? Are you funnier than Burger Kicks? Because chances are you're not, because that man is a comedic genius. A lot of this stuff is just exhausting. So, on Instagram, you gotta find the right tag. You gotta, tag the right mood board accounts. My question is, you just gotta do some introspection and self-reflection about all this kind of stuff and ask yourself, why are you doing this? As the meme goes, what do you gain from this? I wish everyone could realize you can't be good at everything and you should be happy with what you are good at. I'm not sure if you can use me as a good example, but I don't really try that hard to, gain followers or grow my audience. But I do spend time on, content that I would like to see that I think is interesting or useful. That is a better use of my time than trying to game the system. My suggestion is to focus on your core group of friends, have a group chat with them, a friends and family version of a cook group even, and just do all your posting there, get all your validation there, because those are the people that will actually care about you. I posted this once it was about brands and even jobs, that you can love a brand or a job all you want, but a brand or job will not love you back. Only people can love you back. So that's why I say focus on the people that will actually care about you and not about the people you don't know. And if you want those people to care about you, spend some time getting to know them. So, I'm not saying stop all this, stop, posting on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. I might be asking you to stop flexing on Twitter, but what I'm really asking is to have some introspection and really ask yourself why. like they say on reality shows, are you doing it for the right reasons? And if you still want to continue doing it, go ahead. Finally, I wanted to recap the best sneakers of 2020 64 sneaker tournament that I did on my Twitter. In case you missed it, this happened back in late November, where I go through the task of seeding what I think are the 64 best sneakers of the year. In terms of seeding, I try not to go by what I think is my personal favorites were Double Taps, 992, and Strange Love. But I didn't think that would be, the consensus number one. So it's kind of a mix of my biased opinion with what I think the consensus would be. And so I had the Jordan Off-White number one, and, for example, the Off Noir Union 4, the black one, as number two. I did put Double Taps at number three, so my bias kicks in there. And like Travis Scott 4, Strange Love 5, Joe Freshgood 6, Dark Mocha 7, Off Sale Jordan 4 at 8, Union Guava at 4 and 9, and the Jound Gray 992 at number 10, for example. And as I mentioned on my Twitter, I went for competitiveness over variety. I thought it would be better to get most of the dunks that people liked into the bracket so that it's voted on, versus getting variety in there, getting some random Reebok in there, getting a technical running shoe like the Alpha Fly Next Percent in there. I purposely avoided all those because I just thought that they would get trounced in round one anyway. Whereas something like the Lakers Nike SB dunk has a better chance of getting votes in in the 60th seed or something like that. So of course when I do that, people get mad at me, and I always say every year when I do this, the whole point of this bracket is so we have something to be doing on over a couple days, so we can arbitrarily get mad about something. Obviously, this doesn't really mean anything, and if some Reebok is your favorite shoe and I didn't count it, so be it. It's still your favorite shoe. Make your own top 10 at me. I'll tweet it. So the way seeding works is I rank them 1 to 64, and then number 1 plays 64, 2 plays 63, 3 plays 62, etc. on, and that's spread out through regions from northwest, northeast, southwest, and southeast as well. So there were a lot of shoes on here that didn't make the cut, and that's usually what people get mad about. I didn't put, for example, the 85 Breds on there, or Yeezy Carbon. No one is probably upset about that. Some other notable ones that I didn't include was like the Royal Toe. I just didn't think it was good enough, as I thought Court Purple, for example, is better than Royal Toe, so I put that over there. The Space Hippies, some people were mad I didn't put that in there. I call that shoe, it looks like floss and, dryer lint. So I'm not a fan of that shoe. It looked good in photos, but not actually in hand. So I'm not going to go through every single matchup or anything. I just wanted to go over the general stuff of what happened in each round. What were some things, some learnings that I learned from this, and, just kind of go over some of the upsets or even just key learnings that I found. So in round one, there were a few upsets. The Packer 992 lost to the Jordan 1 Midnight Navy. Packer was ranked 24th, and Midnight Navy Jordan was 41. So, that was probably a case where I ranked the Midnight Navy a little bit too low. But still, Packer 992 is a nice enough shoe that it should have won, but kind of gives you a sense of what people think. Also, number 20, Salehi Bembury, a New Balance lost to 45, the Stussy Air Force One. The Stussy Air Force One was like one of the only shoes that I hadn't released yet, but it was pretty much confirmed that it was going to release in December. So, and it looked nice enough that I put it in. Number 31, the Fragment 3 lost to number 34, Safari SB. Frag 3 is that wasn't really that much of a shock, but it just kind of goes to show that how Fragment 3 design didn't have enough to it to kind of hold up over time. Or, its numbers were too high. Number 26, Flint 13, lost to number 39, Court Purple. This was a case, I think, where I ranked the Flint 13 high. just because I think it was a really nice retro. But of course, people love Jordan 1s more than they do any other Jordan retro these days. And then number 27, the Kith Air Force One lost to number 38, the Grateful Dead Yellow SB. That one was a little surprising because the Kith Air Force One was, so hard to get. No one really jumped out the window for the Grateful Deads when they released. But, the Grateful Dead Yellow one was actually more available, and you were able to get it in hand than you were compared to the Kith Air Force One. A couple other ones, the Cactus Plant had bad matchups throughout this one. The Swarovski Dunk one lost to number 12 Chicago SB. That's not a shock because the Chicago colorways is one of the most important ones there is, and first time it's on a SB in a while. And then the CPFM white Air Force One also lost to 17 Dior, which is also not shocking because it was the Dior. But overall, some key learnings in this one was that New Balance really underperformed. Packer was out. Even Double Taps and Joe Fresh Goods and even the Jowns won by only about 60% of the vote. Most of the other ones were 70-80, just because the first round is usually not super close matchups. The 550 basketball low, the ALD one lost to the Brazil Dunk as well. In round 2, some of the upsets were the Jowns lost to Off-White Sale. I ranked the Off-White Sale at like number 23 just because it's so piss yellow. But, it goes to show that people do like Off-White, of course. Sakai Vapor Waffle, number 35, also, beat out one of my favorites, the number 3 Double Taps. The Chunky Dunk beat out the Stussy Fossil Spiridon. Civilist beat out Dunk Plum. Grateful Dead, again, beat out Joe Fresh Goods. So, Grateful Dead Yellow one beat out first the Kith one and then Joe Fresh Goods. So the key learning here was like all the good New Balance ones were out. And what I learned from that is even though, that everyone is saying New Balance is in, it's, New Balance is so hard to get, there's still the factor of getting it in people's hands. So if you don't make enough of them that not enough people get them in hand and like them, it's just not going to beat a Jordan 1 in a popularity contest. Obviously, that's not New Balance's goal right now, to beat a Jordan 1s or anything like that. But, obviously, long term, that's what they want is more infiltration into this type of market so that they can sell more of their GRs into a wider market as well, too. In round 3, most of the Off-Whites were out. The Dior High beat out the number 1 ranked Off-White 5 Black. I think Complex Sneakers also has the Off-White 5 Metallic Black as their best sneaker of the year. The Dark Mocha beat out the Off-White 5 Sail, but the Off-White 4 Sail, the women's one, beat out the Union Guava. And that goes to show that even though, the consensus might be that the Off-White 5 Metallic was one of the best sneakers of the year, the people voting consider the Off-White 4 Sail slightly better. So in round 4, the Western Conference had number 17 Dior High versus number 8 Off-White 4 Sail, and the Dior won there. The other one was number 4 Travis SB versus number 5 Strangelove. Strangelove also one of my favorites, and Travis won. And I'm totally fine with that one as well too. Travis SB, I've said before, is a super important SB to release. Even if people don't like it, it was produced in way higher numbers than is usual for SB up to this point, and was still impossible to get. That was back in February. It's been that long. It feels like years ago when it released. And in the East Conference, number 2 the Union Off Noir beat out number 7 the Dark Mocha Jordan 1, and the number 19 Chunky Dunk beat out the number 22 Civilist SB. So even there, I had ranked Chunky Dunk as like number 19 just because I think it's a cool shoe. Obviously it resells for a ton, but I don't really think it's super wearable. It's more like a collection piece. But the people, voted it up. So even though I might have ranked it low, it made it into the Final Four. So round 5, the Final Four, it was the Dior High versus the Travis Dunk, and the Union Off Noir versus the Chunky Dunk. So the Travis SB won, and then the Union won, which leads to the championship of Travis SB versus Union Off Noir and Travis SB won. And even that, the Travis SB had like 67.7% of the vote. So overall, some, key learnings or analysis, people still love Jordan 1s, obviously. And even though, like I said, influencers and tastemakers might like New Balance, the people still like stuff like Off-White more, or even, the Sakai stuff more. Because at least those shoes get in people's hands. For example, the Packer one that I've talked about endlessly was only made like 350 pairs online. So it's not a shoe you see on foot very often because there's just so few of them out there. So having a shoe in hand for the people and makes a big difference in how they think about the shoe and how they feel about the shoe. But like I said, New Balance is doing this in the right approach. They're taking small steps. You can't really just take a bunch of tiny steps and then take a giant step. They're taking tiny steps, and they took a bunch of them this year and made a lot of inroads. So, overall, they're doing pretty good. But overall, my, main key learning was it went really well in terms of every shoe got as far as they deserve. The Chunky Dunk got all the way to the Final Four. Foam Runner beat out a lot of other good shoes because people do like that shoe. And stuff like, Strange Love beat out the SB Chicago, but lost to the Travis SB. It's something that I ranked, like, for example, the Vapor Waffle, I ranked at 35, like right in the middle kind of, but obviously the people liked it way more than I did. So I wanted to thank everyone who voted and, shared and liked and stuff. It really meant a lot to me. It made the thing more engaging and fun. And makes me want to do it again. We will do this kind of tournament thing for something else down the line again. And if you want to make your own bracket, you can, or even see the results of the bracket, you can go to sockjig.com. It should be on the main page there. And I did make a bracket generator. I coded that thing, so you can kind of play along and vote for who you think should win each round. So that's it. That's the podcast. Thanks for listening. Like and share and all that stuff. See you next time.